Imagine you're a monk, peacefully copying a manuscript, when suddenly a bunch of Scandinavians decide your monastery is the world's worst-stocked gift shop. First, let's set the stage. Here's the world our story unfolds in, around 793, with Lindisfarne right at the heart of it. On June 8th, 793, Norse raiders hit Lindisfarne like a hangover after a mead binge, sudden, violent, and leaving everyone regretting their life choices. The monks, who took a vow of nonviolence, suddenly discovered that turn the other cheek doesn't work so great against a guy named Ragnar with an axe. They looted gold, silver, and priceless manuscripts, basically the medieval equivalent of a smash and grab at a museum, except the alarm system was a guy yelling Vikings. Ragnar Lothbrok stands at the prow of his longship, pointing toward the English coast like a kid spotting the candy aisle. His warriors cheer, this is going to be fun. And when Ragnar hits a beach, he doesn't knock, he kicks the door down and helps himself to the silverware. English monasteries learn this the hard way. Soon, Ragnar's name spreads like a bad rash across Europe. Kings offer him land and gold just to go raid someone else. He considers it and brings a bigger fleet. Now the big move, the road from Kattegat to Lindisfarne. By 845, Ragnar sails up the Seine and sacks Paris. Not the last time the city will pay Vikings to go away. The Franks learn that Viking retirement plans are very generous. And here's Lindisfarne up close, where our story really plays out. Ragnar Lothbrok glides 120 ships up the Seine like a party crasher who knows the host can't afford a bouncer. Paris sees the fleet and panics. The city's walls are old, its garrison nervous, and its king is already counting change. Ragnar's warriors swarm the walls with axes and fire, while the Franks throw rocks and boiling oil, mostly missing. King Charles the Bald, realizing his soldiers are no match for Ragnar's hype, pays 7,000 pounds of silver to make the Vikings go away. Ivar the Boneless, who can't walk but can certainly scheme, rolls into England with a plan. Conquer every Anglo-Saxon kingdom. His brothers grin like wolves at a lamb buffet. The great heathen army lands in East Anglia. The local king, wise as a brick, offers them horses and supplies. Ivar accepts with a smile that promises nothing good. First target, York, capital of Northumbria. The Vikings catch the Northumbrians mid-feast. Surprise, says Ivar, as his army crashes through the gates like a hangover. York falls. Ivar sets up shop, and the Northumbrians suddenly have new landlords who prefer axes over rent. The Anglo-Saxon kingdoms start sweating in unison. The great heathen army marches on York, capital of Northumbria. Ivar the Boneless grins. He's about to teach the English a lesson in urban renewal. York's defenders, caught mid-hangover from last night's mead, scramble to the walls. They throw rocks, but Viking axes chew through the gates like butter. The gates splinter. Vikings pour into York like shoppers on Black Friday, only with more axes and fewer coupons. York is theirs. Ivar sets up shop in the King's Hall, and the Northumbrians suddenly have new landlords, with worse hygiene but better swords. Alfred the Great has had enough of Viking breakfast raids. He rallies the Saxon FYRD for a showdown at Edington. Guthrum's Vikings are lounging in their camp, expecting an easy day of pillaging. Instead, they see a wall of angry Saxons charging. The Saxons smash into the Viking shield wall like a battering ram made of righteous anger and bad dental hygiene. Guthrum surrenders. Alfred, ever the magnanimous host, offers him a deal. Convert to Christianity or get a one-way trip to Valhalla. Alfred and Guthrum meet at Wedmore. Alfred, fresh off his victory, offers Guthrum a deal. Convert to Christianity and keep half of England. Guthrum, now baptized as Athelstan, shakes Alfred's hand. The deal is sealed. The Danelaw is born, a Viking-run slice of England. Viking settlers pour into the Danelaw, bringing their laws, language, and love of good axes. Alfred watches from Wessex, hoping this peace holds. Rollo, the fearsome Viking who once sacked Paris, now faces his greatest challenge. kneeling before a Frankish king without laughing. Charles offers Rollo the land around Rouen, a duchy, in exchange for loyalty and protection from other Vikings. It's like paying a wolf to guard your sheep. Rollo accepts, but the Franks demand he kiss Charles's foot as a sign of fealty. Rollo instead grabs the king's foot and yanks it to his mouth, making Charles nearly topple. Thus, Normandy is born, a Viking duchy that will become a medieval superpower. Rollo goes from raider to ruler, and the Franks get a headache that lasts generations. Erik the Red has a temper. After a few too many friendly axe murders, Iceland's Thing declares him an outlaw. Exile ahoy! He sets sail west, hoping to find a land less populated with people he hasn't annoyed yet. Spoiler, it's empty. He spots a massive, icy coastline. This place needs a name that sells, he thinks. Something lush. Something green. Greenland is born. Settlers arrive, building turf huts and scratching their heads. It's not very green, but Erik's marketing worked. Greenland gets its first Viking colony. Leif Erikson, son of Erik, hears tales of a land west of Greenland, a place with self-slicing bread and grapes that jump into your cup, or so the rumors go. Leif buys a ship from a merchant who swears it's slightly used, which in Viking means it has survived 3 storms and a minor kraken attack. Leif and his crew sail west, past icebergs the size of cathedrals and whales that seem to be judging their navigation skills. They spot land, a coastline of green and trees. Leif grins. I shall call it Vinland, because marketing matters. Leif and his crew stumble ashore, grinning like idiots. They found a land of green meadows, salmon-choked rivers, and 0 angry Greenlanders. Perfect. They build turf huts and call it Leif's butter. The locals, however, are not impressed by the new neighbor's taste in real estate. First contact, the Norse offer milk. The indigenous people offer arrows. Trade negotiations break down almost immediately. After a few skirmishes and a growing sense that this Vinland is more Vin problem, the settlers pack up. Leif sighs, I should have named it not quite as Greenland. Meanwhile, in Constantinople, the Byzantine emperor realizes his palace guards are about as useful as a chocolate teapot. He needs muscle. Word reaches the Norse. Hey, big scary barbarians. Want to get paid to look intimidating in fancy armor. The Vikings are intrigued. A shipload of Norse warriors arrives in Constantinople, gawking at the massive walls. We thought our longships were impressive, one mutters. The emperor hands them axes and a new uniform. Welcome to the Varangian Guard. Try not to kill anyone important. Unless we say so. Olaf Tryggvason has a problem. Norway still worships Thor. Time to send the thunder god into early retirement. He orders the temple burned. The flames rise, and the old gods go up in smoke, literally. Those who refuse baptism get a one-way ticket to Valhalla early. Olaf is not taking no for an answer. Within years, Norway is Christian at spear point. The old gods are history, and Olaf is the new manager. King Olaf Tryggvason sails home from a diplomatic trip, whistling a Johnny tune, unaware that his enemies have planned a surprise party with axes. The coalition fleet springs the trap. Danish, Swedish, and Windish ships swarm around Olaf's flagship like piranhas at a feeding frenzy. Olaf's men fight like berserkers, but the numbers are overwhelming. The Long Serpent becomes a wooden slaughterhouse with a really bad view. Rather than surrender, Olaf leaps overboard in full armor, sinking like a stone. The coalition wins, but the fish get a very shiny meal. Harald Hardrada returns from Constantinople, pockets full of Byzantine gold and a grudge. I was a Varangian Guard. I deserve a crown, not a handshake. Norway's current king, Magnus the Good, sees Harald's ship and sighs. Oh great, my ambitious cousin is back. Time to negotiate before he starts a war. They strike a deal, co-rule Norway. Harald gets half the kingdom, which is basically a participation trophy for a man who once single-handedly held a bridge in Sicily. But Magnus conveniently dies a year later. Harald becomes sole king, and the first thing he does is declare, "Now, let's conquer everyone else." Harold Godwinson's English army marches north at record speed, because when a Viking invader has your throne, there's no such thing as fashionably late. Harold Hardrada's Vikings are lounging after their victory at Fulford, sunning themselves like cats who ate the canary and the entire northern army. On September 25th, 1066, the English army appears over the ridge. Harold's men scramble for their weapons, suddenly remembering they left their armor on the ships. The battle rages at Stamford Bridge. Harold Hardrada fights like a berserker, but an arrow has other plans. It finds his throat mid-roar. 2 weeks after Harold's arrow finds his throat, another Viking descendant, William, Duke of Normandy, peers across the English Channel and grins. "My turn." William's invasion fleet, 1,000 ships carrying knights, horses, and a whole lot of Norman attitude, crosses the Channel. The English navy? On break, apparently. Harold Godwinson marches his exhausted army south, 250 miles in 5 days. His men grumble. "We just fought a Viking army, and now another one?" The armies meet at Senlac Hill, near Hastings. Harold's shield wall forms up, a wall of angry Englishmen with axes. William's knights form up, a wall of angry Normans on horses. Let the awkward staring contest begin. The Normans charge up the hill. The English beat them back. William's left flank panics and flees, but William, cool as a cucumber, rides into rout, lifts his helmet, and yells, "I'm not dead, you idiots. Get back." The Norman archers fire volley after volley. One arrow with Harold Godwinson's name on it, well, not literally, but flies straight into his eye. Ouch. The Viking longship, once the terror of Europe, now gets dismantled by monks who'd rather build a church. Progress, they call it. Scandinavian kings now compete to build the biggest cathedrals, not the biggest raiding fleets. The age of axes gives way to the age of hymns. The Norman conquest plants French-speaking Vikings in England. Their descendants will forget how to say skull, but will remember how to tax. And so the Viking age fades into history, ending not with a clash of swords, but with the quiet scratch of a monk's pen.